with respect to construction site where there is a ready mix concrete which is being supplied, and the construction site contractor goes through a typical journey of how he has to wait for a ready mix concrete. So I will just play this. The target business benefits which we should look at is this particular solution is live today, and what we are talking about is how this helped them better coordinate, have better site coordination, visibility, improved efficiency, and reducing wait times for all the stakeholders involved here. Okay, technology is not helping me, sorry for that. I'm going to run you quickly through these examples verbally, right? So here is an example of a traditional guy who is called Tom. There was a beautiful video, by the way. I'm sorry you're going to miss that. So Tom has been working on a construction site, and he's been relying on traditional methods of calling RMC truck whenever he wanted, right? And it all gets stuck up, and he's got to go through a completely a journey where the truck suddenly is not able to come on time, and he all gets messed up because RMC waiting time, the RMC goes for a toss, the quality goes for a toss at times. So there is this example of Jerry, his brother, who is working on some other side. And what he did a smart thing. So he got a mobility app done, and all that was connected with all the stakeholders. So there was this RMC supplier, there was this pump supplier, and then there was a site, right? All this was connected through a mobility tool, and all that worked so beautifully that at the end of the day, he was a happy customer. He was able to cancel or order it on the fly. He was able to get status of where the truck is at any point of time on the fly, and all stakeholders were able to visualize it in real time, right? So a simple tool kind of made his life easy, and this is a real life example which has been implemented in one of the sites. So that made his life easy. He was happy at the end of the day. He gave great reviews to the RMC supplier, etc., and that journey was awesome. So there's one more example I want to touch upon, which is on connected elevators, which is targeted on maximizing asset uptime, predictability, and trying to drive customer satisfaction. So this is one example of Kone where they have implemented this across Europe. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to just share some questions with you. Where is your organization in the digital journey? That's what something probably I want to ask all of you, and probably you could spend time thinking about it later. Do you have a strategy to deal with disruption, given some of the examples we spoke about? Are you agile enough to respond to some of the challenges which are coming up as they occur? Are there going to be disruptions in your industry? Like, can there be an Uber in your industry which can change the entire game? I think all these questions are with respect to making you think, and you can dwell on it. We can have a chat later. Is your workforce open enough to embrace new ways? So is your workforce really focusing on new strategic priorities for your company? And lastly, do you have a vision to really conceive what customers want even before they know it? What Apple did with an iPhone, with an iPad. Can you think of your company, your industry, and try and put yourself in the shoes of an Apple and think whether your customers want something which they have not thought about, and probably you have also not thought about. Thank you.
Lot of digital disruptions. All right. My name is Haresh Panjavani. I am part of Capgemini consulting team, and I'm going to talk about digital transformation in supply chain. I have studied supply chain and have been practicing it for past many years now. So there are some things which really fascinates me in supply chain. Whenever there is a problem being put to me in any company, wherever I go and do the consulting assignment, uh, first of all, it is very difficult for me to trace the supply chain department itself. Whenever I go, everybody have their own definition of supply chain. Typically, um, distribution or the warehousing team is called supply chain. But many organizations include purchasing, many organizations include manufacturing as well. So there is no one department which is a universally accepted supply chain department as such. And that makes our job very, very difficult. So if we are told that my customer is not happy, they are not getting materials on time, the quality is a problem, the cost is a problem, and when we go to supply chain guys, it is very, very easy for them to pass the buck on the other department. It is so very interconnected, so very dependent on each other. They very easily skip out of the blame or take the responsibilities. But having said that, from the technology perspective, we have seen supply chain departments being one of the early adopters of any technology. So in past 12, 13 years, I've seen supply chain department, among others, are the first one who will embrace, something from the technology perspective and implement it. But at the same time, it gets restricted to the transactional system. It does not move further. Supply chain has got such a huge potential in terms of optimization, integration, a lot of new data related technologies coming in. But we always see it being focused towards the transactional aspect. People don't think beyond it. So in today's presentation, I'm going to give you a perspective towards moving beyond the transactional aspect and see the broader picture of organization and how it can contribute towards the organizational objectives and moving out of the conventional transactional processing system. Before I move further, I'll just give you a brief 30 seconds overview on what Capgemini believes in digital and what we have been doing so far. So we have been sincerely optimistic in digital and have been heavily investing in digital technologies, specifically also focusing on supply chain. So I'll just talk a few things what we have been doing. In last few years, we have been working very closely with MIT, MIT Center of Digital Business, and we have been doing a lot of research with them on various digital technologies and trying to see what is the next big thing happening in supply chain and across digital in the organization. So I have also put some website links where you can go and search through it and read our thought leadership and research articles. We have also been championing future value chain research, wherein we work with consumer goods and retail companies across the world, and we publish the forward-looking reports, the latest being 2025. I understand in this digital era, it is very difficult to predict so far in the future, but we update it every 2 years. So in next 2 years, you will see 2027 report coming in. But then this is something that we do, and a lot of things which I'm going to talk about also comes from this report today. You can download this reports from the links which I mentioned here. We have been acquiring a lot of companies in the digital and innovation space. Latest being Fahrenheit 212. It's a global leader in innovation, and we recently acquired a company called IDN. This is focusing more on consumer experience side of digital journeys. And last is we have a labs called Applied Innovation Exchange, wherein we do prototyping for various new technologies which are coming in market. We work with a lot of startups, and we have created this ecosystem within Capgemini, wherein our clients can benefit prototyping the new technologies. So broadly, this is what we have from the digital ecosystem. Much more you can find on the website. But in next few slides, I'm going to bring out the synopsis of whatever we have seen so far in the digital space. So based on our research with MIT, we found out, we first of all, you wanted to check, does it really help organizations to invest in digital? And there is nothing better than mapping the organization performance based on revenue, profitability, and market valuation. So there are these three key metrics on which we assessed various organizations on two parameters. On one axis, there is the investment in digital, the digital intensity as we call it. So how much companies are investing in various digital technologies. On other axis, we have put the intensity in the transformation. So just investing in digital does not help. There is an equal focus needs to be given on the transformation aspects of digital as well. So when we put it in the 2x2 quadrant on the top right, you can see the organizations which we call as digiratis, and they are the one which are investing heavily in digital technologies, and they are doing so much of transformation exercise together. And when we mapped and see how much they are actually performing in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability, and the market valuation, you can see them being positive. So in terms of revenue, they were 9% plus than the average, 26% plus in profitability, and 12% plus in the market valuations. While there were a lot of companies which we call it as fashionistas, they like to invest in a lot of technologies, but they do not make effective use of it. I'm sure that you would also would be seeing such organizations in the real life. They like to spend, they want to be ahead in the game in technology, but then they do not really embrace it or use it effectively for the business purpose. So we call it fashionistas. We saw them doing well in revenue, but not good in the other parts. And the bottom two are the beginners and the conservatives, right? So broadly, I wanted to show you this graphs to tell you that digital is something that is really helping organizations, and we have seen it proven with the research that we did with the organizations. So uh, what is that we believe that is happening in the supply chain from the digital perspective? Most of the organizations, wherever we go, talk about digital. They talk about a lot of initiatives being taken yeah, internally within the supply chain departments, but we do not see the consumer focus in that. Companies are investing in a lot of digital technologies, but it is all inner focused. Whatever decisions are being taken in investment in the digital technologies are decided based on that departmental problems and challenges. I'll tell you a classic case where I was consulting a very big steel conglomerate in India on supply chain. When I was working on the operating model design for them, and when I went and consulted, first of all, it took me 2 weeks to find out the supply chain department there. There were 13 different departments which constitute towards calling it at supply chain. So for me, supply chain is anything between procure to pay and order to cash. That's what it means. So when I went and met them, I started with the sales guys because that is where I generally start understanding the problems, and I tried to understand what is that you are doing in digital. So they said, okay, we are very ahead in digital and we are investing a lot. So my next question was, what is that you're doing? They said, we are investing in a mobility technology, and my sales guys can go to our customers, and they can take orders on a mobile phone, on a tablet. They can show the product services on the tablet, and we are fantastic. I said, all right. So how long you have been doing it? We are doing it for 1 year. So what difference has it made on the customer satisfaction? Oh, no answer. I don't know. I have never checked that. The next thing I did, I went to the production planning guys. I asked them, what is that you are doing in digital? They said, okay, we have been investing a lot in the scheduling software, in the production planning software, and it is helping us reduce the cost. Cost is my focus. Cost per ton reduction is my focus, and I've managed to reduce it by 5-6%. But again, when I asked them what is the difference it has made on time, in full, and the customer satisfaction, there is no answer on that. I went to the logistics guys and asked the same question, and they said, I've invested in a fantastic yard management solution. It is helping me in tracking the material from the yard, tracking the container from the yard, and I'm able to, ship it out fast. Again, the same question, but no answer. So what I'm trying to tell you is everybody is focusing on digital. They are investing in digital, but who is looking at what customer wants? Every department has their own focus. So broadly, what I have seen, there are 4 different focuses which organizations have. Various departments in the organizations have. One is the cost focus. I don't need to tell you which departments focus on cost. There are the supply chain departments, primarily the logistics guys, the production planning guys, the production themselves, they all focus on cost. There are departments who focus on revenue, like sales department, the marketing department. Their primarily focus is on the revenue. There are departments which focus on compliances, like finance, like legal. And then finally, there are some departments which will focus on the customer service. But who is looking at the organization level objective, fulfilling the customer objective? There is no one. So whenever the synopsis of what I'm trying to tell you is any digital initiative we do has to start with customer in mind first. And then it has to roll down to individual departments and then their objectives. And that's what our research also shows, and that's where the digital investments fail. Uh, as Capgemini, we have developed a digital transformation model. I guess this is something that you can take away from this presentation. And this thing is something that we have seen working very effectively at our client's place. We are at this stage doing multiple digital strategy and transformation projects across India and abroad. And this model seems to be working very well, and we have developed it along with MIT. Any digital transformation exercise has to start with customer experience in mind. So that's what we mean by outside in perspective. So whenever you start thinking about digital, think what customer wants, ultimately what is that customer is going to get from it, and start your first step from there. In that, we have customer insights, wherein you have to understand what customer is looking for, what are their objectives, what kind of experience you want to provide to your customer, and what kind of engagement you want to have. So what I mean by engagement is what are the touch points with your customer. So you should always start with customer experience in mind. It should then roll it on to people and the operations aspect. So operations is the focus for today's conference. So of course operations is important. What I mean by people and organization is the internal organization. So unless your internal organization is adopted digital fully, it is not going to help. So digital worker enablement, digital business, digital innovation, all that are internal organization digital initiatives which has to be done. And the last one is operations. So operations is important. We cannot live without it. And operations has got, apart from the process automation, connected operation system, it also has a big component of innovation. So these are the three important pillars of any digital initiatives, and it has got enablers